Hello, my name is Nola and I'd love to welcome you to my channel today. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you haven't, welcome. I hope you'll stay a while. To my new subscribers and to all of my subscribers, thank you so very much. So today is Sunday, August the 17th, 2025, and yes, I am still in the Netherlands. And today's topic is going to be about the truth about being an empath. Yes, I know it's a term that is thrown around pretty loosely these days, and it has often come across as being something where people are tremendously spiritually gifted or psychic and so on. But I'm going to tell you about my truth, the way that I see it. And if you stop and listen for a while, maybe you will decide for yourself if this resonates with you. Because most people think that being an empath is a gift, a kind of spiritual superpower. But here's the truth. It's not always a gift. For many of us, it was actually a survival skill, or it is actually a survival skill. I have some notes. As children, we learned to read the room, okay? To sense danger before it happened, to twist ourselves into knots or into pretzels so others would feel okay. Often it was the adults, or more often than not, it was the adults in the room, while we slowly disappeared. Being an empath for me didn't come from magic. It came from survival. And that's the truth that very few people are actually telling. Some of us grew up in households that were full of chaos. Alcoholism, mood swings, drug abuse, anger, shouting, threats. In my home, the home that I grew up in as a child, Friday night meant something awful. As far as I can recall, it started around the age of 4, and my father was a functioning alcoholic until I was 12 years old. So Friday nights were total chaos. He would come in drunk and accuse my mother. They'd be screaming and shouting, and my 3 sisters and I would be cowering very, very nervously. And as a child, I learned, now for each one of us growing up in this home, we all coped differently because we all saw it through a different lens. So even if you spoke to each one of us, and there are now 3 of us left, my younger sister has since passed away, each one of us would have a different story to tell. So this is my story. So as I said, as a child, I learned to read a room in seconds because my safety, I felt, and the safety of my sisters and my mother depended on it. So this is not a gift. That's survival. And here's what happens when you grow up that way. You don't just read rooms. You don't just read moods. You absorb them. You learn to shrink yourself so that others can feel comfortable. You become the peacekeeper, the caretaker, the one who smooths everything over. And then people praise you for it. They say, you're so sensitive. You're so kind. I want to scream when they say that. You're such a giver. But nobody tells you the cost. Nobody tells you the cost, right? The cost is, excuse me, Finn. Sorry, that's my neighbor's gate, and he's got to watch everyone's gates. He's just funny that way. So people praise you for it. They say you're so sensitive. You're so kind. You're such a giver. But nobody tells you the cost. The cost is that you learn to abandon yourself. And sometimes people even use scripture to reinforce that. One of the famous ones that I recall, to whom much is given, much is expected. So you give and you give and you give until there's nothing left of you or nothing left for you. But empathy, beloved, without boundaries isn't compassion. Isn't compassion. It's self-abandonment. So let me ask you this. How many times have you stayed in situations that drained you because you felt it was your duty? How long have you stayed, and how many times have you done that? How many times have you swallowed your needs, your anger, your exhaustion, just to keep the peace? How many times have you told yourself, if I can just fix them, maybe then I'll finally be loved? And, beloved, understand that this or that is not love. That's reenactment. That's you trying to rewrite the betrayal you experienced as a child when your needs were too much. The truth is, here's the truth, you were never meant to be a sponge. They like to say that children are like sponges, and they are. You were never meant to carry everyone else's chaos. You weren't meant to become, you were meant to become yourself. So we talk about healing a lot. Let me tell you, I discovered this after my husband passed away. Healing begins when you allow yourself to be selfish. And I say it started for me, true. I've been healing over many, many years. But I really got to the nuts and bolts of it after my husband passed away, because I got to learn who my real friends and family were. Even though I'd seen throughout the years how people were, because people showed me many times who they were, and often I didn't take that hint. But I've since learned that when people show you who they are, you must believe them. So I was speaking on healing. So healing begins when you allow yourself to be selfish. So many of us are told and preached to that you should never be selfish. And I'm not speaking about being selfish in a cruel sense. I'm speaking about it in a sacred sense. The kind of selfish that says, I'm here, I exist, I have needs, and I will not apologize for them. You are allowed to rest without guilt. Yes, you are. You are allowed to love yourself even when others are hurting. We all go through seasons and hurts in our life. And you are also allowed, instead of taking on their problems, you are allowed to love yourself even when they are hurting. You are allowed to choose yourself. Because real kindness, if we think about it, does not mean collapse. True empathy does not mean absorption. And compassion is not sacrifice. That's what I've learned and continue to learn each and every day. And empathy with boundaries is love. Hear this. Empathy with boundaries is love. And empathy without boundaries is imprisonment. When you have empathies and you don't have boundaries, you are imprisoning yourself by the way of taking on other people's problems that are not yours to solve or yours to carry. So here's the question. Will you keep leading for people who will not even stop to bandage you? Will you keep on bleeding for them? Or will you begin to work, or will you begin the work of wholeness, the work of choosing yourself? Because at the end of the day, you're not here to disappear. You're not here to be the background music in someone else's movies. No, you're not. You are here to take up space, not to dominate, but to radiate. And that radiance begins the minute you stop apologizing for existing. Some of us say, sorry, oh, sorry for everything. We are sorry to bother you. Sorry, am I disturbing you? I'm famous for that. And I've learned and I'm learning how to stop saying that. So if no one has ever told you, beloved, if no one has ever told you before, let me be the first. You are allowed to stop carrying what was never yours. You are allowed to be seen. You are allowed to be free. Would you mind sharing with me and with our little community that we have here how you have become an empath and what makes you so sensitive and how you handled yourself? What are you still learning? What are you still carrying? I'd love to hear from you. And if you found this video to be helpful, would you consider sharing it with someone who may need it? Would you consider liking and subscribing so that it can reach more people? I don't know all the answers. I'm still learning, and I'd love to learn from you as well. Because I know now that all of the answers lie within each and every one of us. They're not out there. But it does take work to become healthy, to learn how to set boundaries. And people will try to make you feel bad. They'll say, oh, she's changed or he's changed. They're not the same. Who do they think they are? But have those same people ever stopped to consider you and your needs? You have kept meeting their needs. But has anyone ever stopped to meet your needs? Or to even just listen without telling you about how they survived something or how they did it or how they felt? Because listening is a skill. And sometimes all we need is to be heard. So this is your place to be heard, to feel seen. I hope you consider it a safe place. And always remember that kindness really matters. Everyone is dealing with something that we know nothing about. So be kind to yourself. First, take care of yourself. Remember to decompress, to relax, to listen to that inner voice, because all of the answers lie within you. I hope you found this video helpful. Until the next time, do take care and bye for now.